Almost here. Just getting the party started, guys. Bear with us for a minute. Sound off in the comments. I want to know if you're watching.
Hey Dylan, it went to my cell phone and it just says that troubleshoot thing again. Yeah, it's just that troubleshoot thing. We had to do it another time way last week. I can't remember. I'm going and looking at our previous messages. I'm looking.
We're going to get this on the road here, folks, just momentarily. Just bear with us.
So yeah, you had to email it last time.
Okay.
That's how it worked. I'll text you the email again real quick in case you need it.
So you look cute from that angle.
From all angles, excuse me.
Facts. Trying to get this going. Bear with these newbies to the live streaming world.
We're gonna be the best in the game. Give us a
Yeah.
year.
Right.
Weird energy drink from Big Baux. Like Smarties flavor. Trash.
Smarties flavor.
Yeah.
It just sounds way too sugary.
It's not sugar.
Oh, that's weird.
Well, before we're on YouTube, I'm gonna go off camera for just 1 second and
Okay.
here's my dishwasher. I told you about that, right?
No, just try to get in the YouTube live though.
Okay. All right. I'm such a disaster. Okay.
Almost there, people.
Why didn't it give me the option to join?
I am not sure.
I'll try one more time.
What's up, everybody? Gonna start the show here pretty soon. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. Glad to be back again. Let me sound off in the comments. If you guys got any topics you want covered, let us know what music you've been listening to, too. We're just revving up. You can join us on YouTube as well.
So the link that you sent me is just for watch.
It's so annoying. Okay. I'm hitting add guest. I'm hitting.
There we go. Okay.
Yes, there we go. Excellent.
Okay, let me turn this down.
And then pin a comment Beat Baux episode 2
On the YouTube or on
the IG.
Okay. The great thing about us being live is the fact that everybody gets to see how amazing we are just under pressure.
Yep.
Oh, am I supposed to pin your comment?
I don't even know if you can do that. Try it though.
Okay, I just
Oh, what's up, Last Dragon? Loyal protector.
Last Dragon is a really awesome guy.
Yeah, definitely. And Woo Huzzah. Woo Huzzah Chef.
Oh, the
Some real
most
protectors in the
supportive.
house.
The
Okay,
most
yeah, some
supportive.
real protectors in the house. Good to see you guys. How's your Monday going?
Amazing.
All right, everybody.
So
We are live in full effect. What's up, everybody? It is another episode of Beat Baux. Your boy Dylan, Palm Thickness Pro is here, and I'm here with my lovely co-host.
There we go. We're back on track. So do you want to just get started with our rollout of the topics?
Yeah. But first, people want to hear our health and wellness check. So, Foxy, tell me how you're doing. You said you had a friend visit you over the weekend and you were a little under the weather?
Yeah, so a big part about content creating and the struggles that come with that is your time management and not allowing yourself to get burnout really bad. So I took a little bit of time off of work last week to spend with a friend that came from out of town. But I did notice that a big part also of content creation is that you work alone a lot. So that social burnout was real. And so I think I made myself a little bit sick from too much excitement. I'm sure everybody can relate to that kind of thing happening. And definitely a big thing for mental health awareness and just a check in weekly that we need to be doing with each other and the people that we love is just keeping yourself consistent. It's really easy to get off a track. And something that I've noticed as a neurodivergent person, I have to be very careful with my time management. Otherwise, I will prioritize what's right in front of me rather than what is most important. And so, my big mental health pearl of wisdom for this week is just to give yourself grace and time. Don't be afraid to say no to certain things if it doesn't feel right in the moment. That's okay. You're not obligated to do anything unless it's like, you know what your obligations are. You're not socially obligated though, and we tend to say yes too much. And so using a good calendar system is really great, especially with content creation in mind too. If you say, "Hey, I'm going to give myself every single Thursday off," which is usually my rule of thumb. I try to take a Thursday off. I try to ignore my notifications as best as I can, and that's also something that's hard to balance when you're a content creator and working for yourself is that time management of your phone being prioritized for, you know, your work even when you're not working. So my pros wisdom this week: use a calendar. You can put your manifestations for the month up on your calendar, which really helps me. And it's like out of sight, out of mind, but it's still put out there. And so you'll notice that when you go to change your calendar at the end of the month, you're going to have a lot of stuff accomplished that you didn't even realize that you did. So that's my pro tip for this week.
Awesome. Yeah. Um, do you know what, like, triggers you to feel like you're experiencing burnout? Because you think of when a friend visits, it's like, "Oh, this is a good thing." But when there are a lot of checklists to be done as far as being a content creator, and then we also have, like, family and bills to pay, like, what are some of the signs that you feel like what I call snowballing, that,
Mhm.
like, there's a little bit too much going on for you to be fully functioning in every department?
For me, a big thing that I struggle with is prioritizing my needs when I'm in
Mhm.
a social situation. So, my friend comes and visits and they're like, hey, I want to go do this, 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 and this. And I feel like I need to say, yeah, let's go do it because I'm such a people pleaser, you
Right.
know?
You still feel like you have to say yes to everything no matter how
Yeah. And
tired you
so
are.
So it's important, we went to a theme park on Saturday, and by the end of the night, she was wanting to go to karaoke, and I made sure to self-advocate and be like, "Hey, like, I don't think this is ideal for me right now. I'm socially burned," and put the pieces in play to make sure that, she was out and I was, in bed at a decent hour because things that I'll notice is like I'm not drinking enough water. It becomes,
Welcome to the
feels
30s, you guys.
yeah, it feels like a chore to just do self-care and things like that because 'cause you're just, like, running on this little energy, and all of a sudden you're just overwhelmed, and the most simple thing can feel like a mountain. So self-advocating is definitely what I think is very important in those situations so you don't get over your head.
Right, right. I definitely agree. As far as my weekend was awesome. Had Omaya BBW come to town and visit, hung out a bunch. She came and shot with Jeff's models. That was what she ended up doing on Saturday. And her birthday is tomorrow, so that was really cool just to celebrate. Um, but yeah, with as far as like, she's really good at keeping me like on top of, you know, the posting and just by simply like reminding me of like what she's doing because she's really good at like the updating, just like casually like update. Oh, now I'm doing this. Now I'm doing that with like super organized with calendars, you know, just on top of like the post scheduling and making sure that there's times to edit and me like I'm all over the place like space, but I'm getting a little better at like okay, during this time I will have this much time to edit that or like making sure if when the music comes out lining up all the albums I want to tackle, but even still that's not enough, and then my schedule's a lot more flexible these days than it has been in the past, but it's all a balancing act. I'm really not afraid of this. There's a gang of interviews for TPP like in the cut, but over time I think with I'll just like you said, put them on a calendar and be like, when can I release these, and then this can bring us to our first news hit because I'm really affected by this writer strike. For those of you who don't know, I also do work in TV. I work at a couple TV studios here in Los Angeles, and right now in the industry, there's a Screen Actors Guild writer strike, or SAG, if you will, where writers who are part of a union don't believe they're getting paid enough. And then also this new introduction of AI coming into the business and having these self-generated stories that are written by computers that are eliminating jobs for people and cutting down writers' rooms, and thus companies or studios are saving money by hiring less writers because of this.
Yeah, that's a really crazy gray area that, people, writers and philosophers, they've all hyper fixated on this in a lot of different writings and fears for the future of humanity and things like that. And it's pretty crazy that we're now finally coming to a point where it is affecting people with AI.
Mhm.
I have, the writers' strike has been going on since May 2nd. Basically, what that part stems from for them is they're very stressed out because they had a contract that was called the minimum basic agreement. So basically, how that was working is it was a deal that they had of like a minimum wage that they were supposed to make off of broadcasted television. Now, with the introduction of streaming kind of taking over cable, they're at this standstill with this negotiation because it is not something that is set for streaming services. So now what these writers are having to do is they have to go and they have to negotiate individually with the streaming platforms for their pay, which is really, unfair because these are the people that are creating these things that we commute, as a community, as people that consume media, were affected by this as much as anybody because this is going to change the quality of TV as we know it. And even like late night shows, this is like a big thing that it's being affected by this kind of stuff. So basically, the agreement ran out this month, and so it's up for renegotiation. And so these people are saying, "Hey, like we need to receive these residuals. The cost of living is going up. This is like the minimum of what our quality of life is." And it was just like ridiculous amount of numbers. Like they're only supposed to bring in, it was like something like 89 million in contrast for like 480 something million that would be going elsewhere, not to the writers, that if things were still negotiated the way that they were meant to be before streaming, that they would be receiving. And so AI is a very big fear, because it is clearly really great. At this point, there's still some hangups with it, but I mean, it's a computer, so it's going to become more better every single time that it's used.
Well, the way I see it is that AI is shaping up to be the new COVID,
Hmm.
in the sense that here comes this thing that's going to affect every industry and affect our lives all the way around.
Right.
Imagine once AI gets into the transportation industry. I'm sure it already has at some point, but imagine when Uber drivers are going to start being affected by AI, and then there's going to be like automatic cars to pick you up. Like, let me ask you this, Foxy. You as a person who doesn't drive, would you trust an automatic vehicle to get you from home to where you need to be?
Absolutely not. An automatic vehicle is still a vehicle, and vehicles are the number one way for you to die. And that's operated by a conscious human. We're completely putting our lives in the lines of something that doesn't even actually exist in a weird way. You can't pinch AI, it's not conscious. And so it doesn't really matter how you spin it, it's putting, our lives into those lines. But also the same argument could be said that like navigation on like planes and stuff like that, that's kind of AI already. So on the other side of things, it could potentially maybe make things safer. But it's still
Per
uncertain.
Perhaps, but I still don't personally wouldn't personally trust that. Oh, what's up, Stella Daniels? I personally wouldn't trust AI in transportation or anything like that because you got to think about it. The modern automobile has been around for how many years? So it's like
Mhm.
there's going to be a lot of kinks to work out to like be able to travel safely on something that's not automated by a human at all.
Right. Well, and then you look at things like, AI in music even, and just there's something so off about it. It's like it feels real, but knowing that it's AI is just like disturbing. It's just like this ominous thing in the background. Like, I feel uncomfortable consuming media created by AI, let alone participating with my life on the line with it. So,
I'm comfortable if the media is only on a visual level, but if it's, on an audio level, in which brings us into our next topic, AI infiltrating the music industry. In the last couple of weeks, I've seen several news stories about this, how their AI technology is able to, like, take sample the voice of Drake and sample voices of Ariana Grande and The Weeknd and make this make this AI song, right? And really, it's very fascinating because a couple of years ago there was this anime. You guys should definitely check it out on Netflix called Carol and Tuesday, where it basically predicts all of this that's happening currently. Where the storyline is that two girls meet each other, they kind of run away from home, and they're both musicians, but the battle that they face is like real talent versus AI doing the songwriting. And this is where it gets difficult because are the major record labels signing AI, or they don't have to pay an artist now because AI can, take that same voice, from those big artists that I mentioned, but I I personally don't think this is ethical, and we've gone a little too far. It's creative and it's very fascinating technology, but it's almost like I'm tired of hearing about it. Overall, what is your gut reaction to AI in this music industry,
I
Foxy?
wanna completely ignore its existence for the most part. Like you said, I'm choosing to not really involve myself, unless we as the consumers of this stuff become less aware of it or it's already
Right.
going on and we don't know. Um, but I actually looked up the Drake and who was it? It was Drake
Drake, Ariana
and
Grande, and
The
The Weeknd.
Weeknd, and it sounds good, but it creeps me out, and I'm left wondering, how is this legal?
Right.
That's what I'm left wondering. That's basically my mind goes to the legalities of it, and it's like, well, how is it legal to even plagiarize an artist's sound like that? If there was a writer, Stephen King wrote a book and then I decided to just, take his words and jumble them around into different sentences. Do you think that he might have the grounds to stand on for like a lawsuit against me?
Well, the truth of the matter is that why the writers are so upset with the AI coming about is that those principles, no matter what an AI is doing, it's stealing from the human being. It's stealing from the human experience.
Mhm.
And as in regards to music, that chemistry of people being in the room or certain songwriters working with certain producers, a computer can't make that. Yes, it's made on a computer, but I think that, what you're gonna get from AI is just gonna be, like, more whack and corny, and again, I'll preach this from the mountaintop, it's like, the best thing about music today was that anybody can do it, and the worst thing about it was anybody can do it. Now it's to the point where it's like, "Wow, robots are doing this." So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty out of control. Um, Also, do we wanna move on to our other kind of thing that has to do with AI and legalities?
Yes.
We're also gonna discuss on the terms of AI. There's a, story in the news that's trending this week about, dear old Alex Jones. He wants to sue a comedian and have him arrested for using AI, as, like, a voice board for a prank call. The comedian's name is Chris James. He called Alex Jones and used a Tucker Carlson soundboard type AI technology for the prank call. This comedian goes by Prank Stallone. You can actually look up the video that we're talking about on YouTube. It's on there. But essentially, what he did was he kind of backed Alex Jones into sounding really ridiculous with this. And essentially, what the Tucker Carlson board was saying to him was he was trying to get him to participate in a conversation. He lured him in by saying like, "Oh, are you busy right now? Do you have time to talk to me?" And then he pitched an idea that they needed to have a show where they were both topless and sucking on each other's nipples for a statement for gender norms in society, and to do this as a parody. And Alex Jones actually liked the idea and agreed to it. And so it just again stands like, well, if this AI stuff is, really like it's kind of lawless with what it can get away with, because it's not a human.
Right. Well, I think for one, that's a pretty funny prank. But I think that you know what, that whole principle is nothing new. I remember back when I was in middle school, I think movie Snakes on the Plane with Samuel L. Jackson had just came
Mhm.
out, and I had a friend, a buddy of mine, do a prank phone call on me, and it was like this voicemail from Samuel, and he's going off, and it says your name, and so this doesn't seem like anything new. I just think AI has become such a buzzword that anytime somebody is done wrong now cyberly, if that's a word, or through the internet, you can just throw in AI in there, and then it adds this whole nother layer of unfairness.
Right. It's the unknown. Um, So what else do we have on the agenda? We've got hip hop history. Do we want to talk about our hip hop history for the week?
Let's go for it.
So this week in hip hop, I took a lot of notes, guys. Just give me 1 second. May 8th,
Woohoo.
2001 is the anniversary of Carmen the Hip Opera premiering on MTV. For those of you that are younger, you probably don't remember this. It was actually Beyonce's debut on film. It was a really good movie adaptation of an opera called Carmen. So it's about basically like a seductive kind of lady that ends up in a love triangle with crooked cop and his superior. I'm having a really hard time remembering it because I was like 11 when this premiered.
Yeah, I barely remember it myself. I do remember the
But it was
name,
a
and that's
big
a big
deal. It
deal.
was like a huge deal when it came out. It hosted the Beyonce was the main character, Carmen. Mos Def was in it. Mekhi Phifer, Wyclef Jean, and the brat. So and also speaking of Debrat and news, she's also a hot topic right now because she was flaunting her pregnancy at a
Yeah,
live concert, much in the style of
and yes,
Rihanna.
Bilal. It's sorry, I got another message at the same time. Yes, it was before Austin Powers Gold Member.
Yes, it
Gold, yeah.
was.
Was it Gold
So a
Member or
classic.
Goldfinger?
It
Yeah,
was Gold Member.
Gold Member. Goldfinger was
Yeah.
the James Bond one, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Gold Member is the parody of Goldfinger.
yeah.
So yeah, that is a good one. It is available to rent on Amazon. Just if you want to experience it for yourself, piece of hip hop history. And then also, the biggest thing that I took from that was Debrat's involvement and um, the topic of pregnancy in the music industry and why people really perceive it as such a taboo. It seems like no matter what you do, you're young. Like Rihanna, she, got so much heat for her pregnancy announcement at the Super Bowl. And then you've got Debrat, who's very pregnant, openly known to be pregnant, and a geriatric pregnancy. And everybody's, wants to hate on her for that. And it's very strange. And oftentimes I find that women in like hip hop, they are highly sexualized in a lot of ways, but then when they show their human and woman part, the womanhood's part of being a sexual woman and being pregnant, it's just a very hard thing. It's like only supposed to be perceived until it's too human. And it's been a conversation about female MCs for years and years. Dripping with sex is the way to get your name in the game, but then it's like good until people don't want it to be, human anymore. It's just being like that object of the male gaze. A whole nother conversation that we have, but there's a lot of female MCs that have talked about this through the past 20, 30 years. So, interesting topic.
You know what? There's two sides of this coin, and I think number one, congrats to the brat, to Dub Brat. I hope I said hit the duh right, but
Dubrat.
congrats to the brat. Now there is a lot of ageism in this,
Mhm.
and if you standed up and applauded Rihanna, you should do the same for the brat. And I think people are hiding their concern under jokes because here you have more of a masculine figure. Uh, as what's up, McGee? You have more of a masculine performer versus Rihanna, and I think it's just automatically getting compared to Rihanna when it shouldn't. But the fact that it's a geriatric pregnancy, I think people's concern for if this is going to be a healthy pregnancy or not is disguised under these shady comments.
Right. And really, I mean, the whole conversation is why do we as a society care so much about other people's bodies? It's just let
Right.
people be people.
Well, I think that as entertainers, everybody wants to point the finger when you jump out there. And I think what
Mhm.
Debrat did was that she jumped out there. Now, this is somebody who hasn't released music in decades, you know. So prior to this, the public, what had she done recently that was noteworthy? I don't keep in touch with the reality shows and
So
whatnot, but
she's on a few seasons into Brat Loves Judy on We.
cool.
And she came out of the closet with that show premiering, but her sexuality also has always been talked about, which
Right.
again, nobody's business.
Well, I mean, at 49, this is your first pregnancy. You know what? There's a lot of, norms that are being broken down in 2023 with sexuality and gender roles. So I'm
Hmm.
like, more power to her. I think it just I'm glad to see that, if the truth of the matter is hip hop accepting of this. Back when I was an intern at Hip Hop DX, they would have done a hip hop react to the Brat's pregnancy and gone to see like, okay, what other artists tweeted about this? How did this go
Right.
over in the community?
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. It just a lot of times it just feels like women in hip hop can never do the right thing no matter what.
Right. Yeah.
Also speaking of women in hip hop, our TikTok highlight for an artist to watch out to, because we all know that TikTok is kind of the force behind music trending these days. We're watching Ice Spice. I think that you'd have to be living under a rock for the most part to not know who Ice Spice is, but it's just she kind of
Or you
came
a
out of
munch.
nowhere. What?
Or you're a munch.
Yeah, yeah. I did not know about her, and then all of a sudden, it was like everywhere that I looked, there's Ice Spice, and everybody's talking about her. Where did she come from? Oh, she's just this girl that played volleyball in high school, and she's relatable, and a lot of people really are gravitated towards her, men and women, and theys and
Right.
thems alike. She just kind of brings people together, and I think it's because she's new and something fresh to the hip hop game when it comes to like the sexualization of female
There's
MCs, female
also
rappers.
something remarkable just about her is the fact that she's born on January 1st, 2000.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
so
She
she
is the
really is the
millennium.
millennium.
I love that. Yeah, and like I was gonna say, she's refreshing in the sense of, if you look at hip hop in the past 10 years, all the women that you've seen come out, they're very highly the BBL kind of culture and just like
Right.
very like dripping with like a lot of like pizzazz. I don't know, like, the right word
Well,
for it, but they're
I
just
I
very
also
extra.
think I also think that sorry to cut you off, but I also think that one of the big things about Ice Spice is that she out past Pop Smoke and maybe like Vivio Foreign, she really has become like the face of New York drill and like the face of, the hip hop artists have like who are born on TikTok, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. So
Yeah,
I
and
think yeah, the fact that this is a woman of color and like this is like one of the leading new voices of hip hop, he goes Mike Yo, Nicki Minaj, then Megan the Stallion, and then now Ice Spice is like,
yeah, and
handing the torch.
what I was saying is I think that what people like about her is that she's just very much just herself, and
Right,
she's giving, she's not, it's refreshing to see somebody that is more fitting of like obtainable like looks, body
right,
standards, just like composure, things like that. So I think Ice Spice is very refreshing to people because she's doing something very different, which is being
right.
extremely genuine.
And I can't honestly say she reminds me of anybody else. I mean, when Nicki
No.
Minaj came out, everybody compared her to Lil Kim, and with Ice Spice, you really can't make that same comparison to anybody who came before her.
Yeah, not anybody that I can think of.
And I'm not the most
And
familiar with Ice Spice's music, but I have checked out like some EPs and some music videos, and I do like what I hear.
yeah, yeah, there's nothing
Yeah.
negative that I can say.
No.
Also, if Peso is sliding in her DMs, so I mean,
Yeah.
and didn't
I
didn't
mean,
you say that he's in prison
yeah, it's a
even?
bold move for, a rapper who's incarcerated right now and like is, somebody who is bubbling at least locally here in LA on a street level. But if that can increase that guy's name and he can land on No Jumper's page from that, that speaks volumes as to like I don't know who that speaks more high of him or her,
Probably a
but
combination of both of them.
yeah, because to me, I hated on that post immediately when I saw it. I commented like, "This is not news." But
Yeah, like what?
I you know, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I do think, you know, Ice Spice is somebody who's going to be um joining the ranks of Cardi B and Megan Thee
Oh,
Stallion
definitely.
and Lotto and
She's
yeah,
already got her newest song, Princess Diana, that's, dominating the TikTok charts right now.
right.
She's on that with Nicki Minaj. So, I mean, for an artist that's, like, up and coming, everybody's heard about her within the last year to already have, like, a song with one of the female rap greats, that's a huge deal.
Right, right. Yeah, and the way TikTok has, you know, revolutionized the music industry as well, like Ice Spice definitely being a product of that. You just got to give it up to her.
Yep. And also, that kind of leads us into our next topics, which is going to be our album spotlight of the week and each of our songs of the week. So, do you
Right.
want to bring that topic in for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so album of the week. Well, we have two projects that we both really liked. Let's start with Suicide Boys.
Yes, I really, really, really enjoyed listening to the
Yeah, Yin
Yin
Yang
Yang
Tape Spring
Twapes,
Season.
Twapes,
Yin Yang Tape
the
Spring
Twapes.
Season
It was so good.
1989, 1990. Yeah,
I straight up listened to the whole mixtape like this afternoon and evening. Really, really, really good. I enjoyed it so much. I will say I'm gonna hit on two of the songs that I listened to. My song of the week is gonna be the Suicide Boys, Chateau Gris. And that one was so good. I listened to it like 3 times. And it feels like that perfect kind of not to bring up TikTok again, but almost that TikTok sound for hip hop that's it's really hard for me to even explain because I'm such an oldie. But it's just like that almost like industrial kind of just like gutter like I
well,
don't
the
know
truth
how
of the
to
matter is that Suicide Boys really went back to their roots and back to their influences as far as they're from New Orleans.
uh
So as far as like combining like the New
three
Orleans bounce music and then like 3 6 Mafia
Yeah,
and the
I had
Mafia 6.
Project Pat wrote down
Yeah,
like a
not
bunch of excellent
exactly. So
and they
90s
did such a good
lo-fi
job.
Memphis horrorcore, yeah.
I'm not that familiar with Suicide Boys. As you know, I'm really breaking out of my shell with this new project because I'm such an old head and I have not listened to a lot of the newer stuff as much as I have
Right.
followed music in the past. That's why I'm really enjoying doing this with you, is because I'm creating playlists with new music for the first time in a few years. And that's what I really liked about it because I did like Suicide Boys from what I heard when they first started coming out, and that song. Oh, I can't. What was the big one that everybody was listening to when they first came out?
Paris,
So
um, Muddy Blunts with Pooya,
it was
Royce
a yeah,
Chris.
it was a lot different than like
Yeah.
some of the stuff that I first was exposed to from them, and it was just that old school feeling. I didn't know that they're from Memphis, but
No,
it
they're from New
makes
Orleans. They're from
New
New
Orleans.
Orleans, but like
Um, but
a few hours away. But
it makes a lot of sense, because it's that total style and just, it was so 3 6 Mafia, and I grew up on 3 6, and I love that shit, and so for me, I was like, "Yes, this is so good." So that
exactly.
is my song of the week is gonna go to the Chateau Gris, and then I also listened to Hot Razor. It had a really good back and forth rap between the 2 of the guys, and it's there's 2 of them, right?
Yeah, they're cousins, Ruby and
Um,
Scrim.
the back and forth was so good. I had like that kind of like storytelling vibe to it, but they're just like almost like conversational. The lyrics have a lot of depth and creativity, so I was very impressed. Definitely check out the Yin Yang tapes. Really, really good.
Right. And the other album we checked out was Atmosphere. So many other realities exist simultaneously.
That's a
Um,
mouthful.
yeah, that's a mouthful. And oh, Last Dragon Love. Yeah, Antarctica. That's a great song with the Cascade sample. But um, going back to Atmosphere, you know what? I definitely enjoyed this album, and it's a combination of I'm one of the biggest Atmosphere fans you'll ever meet. Slug is my favorite MC, and it's like this. You know what? For what it's worth, the production was eclectic enough to be considered experimental, but I think the overall package was like they kind of went in on different sounds that Slug, Ant, and these various artists who feature from time to time brought to the table, and it really kind of sounds like a mix of different eras of Atmosphere.
That's exactly what I took from it too. It was very experimental. You could tell that they were playing with a lot of different artistic mediums in it. Even with the
Yes.
people that were featured on the album, I listened to several songs. The first one that I listened to was Talk Talk. It had like that funky kind of. Do you know who Chromeo is?
Yes. Yeah.
It felt very
Electronic producers.
Chromeo, and it had that vibe. I liked Bat Flower, that artist. I first
Yeah.
exposure to them in that song.
Yeah.
But I
Same.
do my critique on that one is that Slug felt out of place in his own song in that one.
I kind of agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
like
mean, the vibe of it kind of reminded me of the song White Light from the Gorillaz off their Demon Days album.
I love yeah, that's a good one. Holding My Breath, I watched the music video. It was a good music video.
Right.
I enjoyed it. It had that like kind of, like reggae smoke shop kind of vibe, like you'd be buying a
Totally.
bong while it's playing in the
Yeah.
background. And I loved the music video. The delivery in that one felt natural. He didn't feel out of place in that song. It was it worked. So I'm not surprised that that's the debut single from the album, because it was perfect for that. Did you want to add anything to that one?
You know what? I think from the features on here, they gave a chance to like give exposure to other artists, and then I think just simply by the title, so many other realities simultaneously. There's just moments off here that just kind of remind me of different times in Atmosphere's history. From albums like The Family Sign and Blood Makes the To All My Friends, Blood Makes the Blade Holy, and you could take it all the way back to like When Life Gives You Lemons, and there's just different parts on here. Fishing Blues, they're just sonically, it reminds me of different things that they've released. And you look back on it and you say, hey, you know what? Since 2018, with the exception of 2022, Atmosphere has released an album every year. And
Mhm.
this is what indie rap after 50 looks like, you know?
Right.
So I thought it was pretty damn good, all things considered. And this isn't really one of those records where you got to listen to it over and over and over again to get the gist. You can pick 5 good songs and then go, and that's it, you know?
Yeah, my favorite one off of that was In My Head.
Right. That's
I
a great
liked
song.
that one. I love that 70s beat. It kind of felt
Yeah.
like it was like a mix of like a Sega game and like a 70s like action mystery sitcom.
Right, right. It had some funky to it. It had some Congo drums, and it was very interesting with like the span with the electronic pianos. I do remember the production on that one. But again, you know what? It reminded me of older beats that Ant had made for Slug,
Mhm,
or made for Felt. You throw it to Morris Day from the Felt Two tribute to Lee, yeah, a tribute to Lisa Bonet. Or you could throw it to like when Felt did My Alien Girlfriend. And I
mhm.
think the last line Slug said was something to that point about an
Yeah, I
alien girl.
actually
So
was in the middle of writing it down, but then I stopped because I didn't know.
yeah,
So yeah,
if
and
if
then
you're not if you're not into hipster rap, early 2000s hipster rap, you have no idea what the fuck we're talking about right now.
yeah,
Shout out to Backpack Rap.
it's real good stuff.
Yeah,
Always will be near and dear to my hipster heart, so
yes, my
gotta give
hipster
them
heart.
that. And then your favorite, off of that you had mentioned was Still
Yeah.
Life
Yeah, Still
with
Life featuring
Merkage Dave?
Merkage Dave. Yeah, that was just smooth, coming to and from the airport. I don't know why, but that was one of those ones that I was just listening to. And it just had that I'm gonna sound so cliche saying it just had that vibe. But I think Merkage Dave being from the UK just kind of uplifted the song because UK R&B is like its whole uh other thing. You got a little
Mhm.
fan in the comments.
Oh, thank
But yeah,
you.
I mean I'm pretty too. But yeah, Marcus Dave came through and did his thing, and you can't really. It's going to take me many listens to really decipher what Slug is saying, but I can tell that's one of those songs I'm going to be listening to years from now.
Yeah,
So it's like another
definitely.
classic.
And just so you guys know that are watching and listening and planning to attend every week, we're going to update after the podcast our playlist. And so, if you
Yeah,
guys would like to check out anything we're talking about, I have been updating our playlist the past 2 weeks, and I will give you guys the link to that
there will be a
this
Beat Baux
week.
Spotify playlist, you guys. There
Yeah,
will be.
and it'll be really good. I think even this week, I might have even added that AI song with, Drake and The Weeknd just so that everybody could check it out if they were interested. So a little bit of everything in that. And so, yeah,
Yeah,
I think that we're kind of finally to our last stuff to touch on for this week, and that's going to be our weekly segment of my self-curated sex worker tips.
okay.
So the conversation we started last week was about OnlyFans being such a pillar in the community that's actually quite harmful to a lot of sex workers in the terms of keeping their income and just being some middleman that doesn't truly need to exist if you can self manage your social media. When I'm talking to a lot of my girlfriends that are like on cam and things like that, the thought about curating their own content is very, very intimidating, and it can feel very intimidating for sure. But the great thing about being in 2023 is that there are a lot of apps that exist, albeit they do cost a bit of money. These apps are really useful, and a lot of them you can use a lot of the functions for free. This week's tip I wanted to touch on was editing through CapCut. If
Yeah,
you guys don't use CapCut, it is
get
going to
your
be
ass
your
on there.
best friend.
It is, yes, your best friend. CapCut is your Bible. There are three things in this world I cannot believe are free: oxygen, water, and CapCut. I am
Yeah.
not kidding.
It's true, and you guys, this isn't even like a sponsored thing,
No.
just two content creators, singing the praises. CapCut makes it so easy for you to make your content. Even if you feel like it kind of looks like shit, you can go into CapCut and you can change your lighting. You can make your picture look sharper. You can take your noise and try to reduce the background sounds. I have really loud downstairs neighbors. The guy that lives down there, he plays video games and he's like screaming like somebody freaking
Yeah.
busted in with a weapon sometimes. And so it makes it really hard for me when I have my content creation days. If he's down there gaming really hard, that
And,
interference, just using my cap cut, I can go through, I tear the audio from the video, and I go and I edit down the audio to take out stuff like that. And it's really easy.
and for me, it's all about importing the fonts and animating the fonts to how I want them, and importing my music in there, and then the sound effects, and then the new feature I've been just falling in love with as of lately for CapCut is the fact that you can add an overlay and then remove the background to the overlay. So
Yes, I
this
was
comes
just
in
gonna talk that.
yeah, this comes in real handy when I want to add gifs to my videos, and then just making my normal content more zany, more cartoony, and more of that palm thickness protection program stuff that we love. The truth of the matter is that you guys are really going to see. I'm teaching myself how to animate every day, and I'm teaching myself more and more tricks every day as far as content creation goes. So I really want. Yes, I'm going to be a journalist, but yes, the comedian is going to really shine out, and then ultimately to the marriage between my journalistic side and my comedic side is going to be the content creator, and you guys are going to see a lot more zaniness to my content, and just more animated to the point where like, whoa, is this a podcast or is this like a cartoon? Like, is this like
I
kind of like
love
South
it.
Park? So you're gonna step into it. This whole palm verse. Oh, this shit about to be crazy, and it's all because of CapCut.
Yeah, and I can also say as a content creator, something that's very important is our watermarks and things like that. CapCut makes it really
Yes.
easy with that overlay feature. I do a little outro of all of my videos where I bring it into my social media,
Yeah.
name and things like that. Just
Oh, and by the
simple
way,
little
this is all on the
things.
free version too. The
Yeah,
pro
yeah. The
features look
only
awesome, but I haven't even invested in that.
Yeah, the only
All on the
thing
free
that
version.
I, have seen that really the paid features is, like, if you wanna edit your body and things like that, which, hey,
Yeah.
that's not what I like to do, but if you do, all the more power for you because you have these tools, So if
Yeah.
you're insecure about your breast size, you know, something like that. You can fix it up in CapCut. Anybody can make magic
Well,
on it.
I feel like a project that I actually do wanna take on using CapCut is, like, trying to create myself to edit myself inside of every one of my favorite album covers. So,
Oh,
you know,
love that.
you take the college dropout cover with, you know, Kanye as the bear mascot, and then, you know, I'll just sit on a chair and then have the bear, you know, the album cover like a green screen behind me, but then I can just put like an emoji bear on my face, and then bam, like I'm in the college dropout, and then okay, I want to do Man on the Mood now, so I just like, you know, take my face and profile and then make it look like Kid Cudi, like just the same color scheme. Bam, I can do that in CapCut, you
Yeah,
know. So
it's pretty awesome.
yes.
Somebody on Insta said, Capri said, Foxy, do you have a Twitter and which name? So if you guys want to look me up on any platform, I'm going to be Foxy Box anywhere, just how I spell it here. You put me in your little search bar, and there I am.
Well, there you have it. Okay. Are there any other topics we want to discuss here on episode 2 of Beatbox, Foxy?
I think we covered pretty much everything. The only thing that I left out was hip hop history because we got so going on that. It's also the week of the anniversary of the release of Cool Keith's album. Dr. Octagon is what people refer to it, but it's Octagon Ecologist. Basically, it's his first solo debut album where he took on the theme of being a extraterrestrial time traveling gynecologist and surgeon. So
That's quite a
happy
mouthful.
anniversary to that project. And it is considered one of the 1990s top 100 albums. So check that out now if you
Yeah.
haven't.
I'm kind of interested right now musically in just things that are very animated, things that have massive cult followings, and things that are just kind of
That's one of
disguised
them.
disguised right now, just kind of studying, you know, the like Slipknot and Mushroom Head and Gorillas and
Yeah.
things that are an insane clown posse and things that are
Yeah.
very theatric.
And this is considered to be horrorcore and
Right.
alternative hip hop. So definitely one to put on your, you know, looky loo list and check out a classic.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
should
if I was in
we
music on the artist level, that's the era that I would kind of step into next, the more
definitely
theatric.
Yeah. Well, that's even with my content creation, you know,
Yeah,
as a love doctor, I like to be creative with it.
right.
I've gotten into the fetish stuff, which I've talked about here, but that's I prefer to do that kind of stuff because I get to be creative. And I like the comedy mixed with like the sexuality. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you guys are definitely opening up your lanes, and the beauty of the content creation in this world is just, like, seeing different styles get born, whether, somebody's more of the BDSM and they got more of a punk rock aesthetic to them or a metal vibe, or like you got what Thick Lizzy's
hey,
done.
kitty, kitty.
You have a dog
Sorry,
named Kitty,
guys.
that's adorable.
Kitty, come here. Well, I guess this is it.
Alright, Kitty needs that attention.
Kitty taking
Alright,
us out.
alright.
Thanks you guys for coming again this week. Definitely, if you have any suggestions, thoughts, please let us know. We want to get better every week, so feel free to communicate about the podcast. Come here.
Alright. Till
Here.
next time, everybody. See you next Monday. This has been Beatbox.
Bye.
Peace, love, palm. We want thickness.